This week on the podcast, we are joined by HomeReel. We talk about how he feels about Blood Hunt. That was a very awkward sentence. I don't know why I wrote it that way. Uh, we also have to talk about what's going on with the Apple App Store. And of course, guys, we have deals of the month. All of that and more in this week's episode of the podcast. Roll the intro.
Oh shit. But da da ba da da ba.
A little flat this week.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I
are you
wasn't
okay
ready.
there? A
Yeah,
little
I'm good. I'm
phlegmy?
good. I'm
Are you lost in the cage?
yeah, my mind is just a rat in a cage.
All right, there, Billy Corgan. Let's
Yeah. Well, despite all my rage, we're on a podcast now.
These are great.
Mm.
Hello and welcome to the
I-
next. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I forgot that was my picture that I sent today, but I'm glad it's there.
The beautiful Photoshop of the red shirt from Hunt Showdown.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, a podcast for gamers on a budget. I'm your host, Danie K. With me, as always, the wonderful, the beautiful, the Mr. Green Elite. Green, how are you doing today?
I have had the most crushing defeat this morning when I got up from my slumber, my short 5-hour nap, if you will. I went to my 3D printer because I've been working on a project. Which is if for the visual watchers that live at YouTube, I printed or was attempting to print the helmet of Killa from Escape from Tarkov, right? Because I am a fan of Escape from Tarkov. And my belt on my 3D printer broke. So it was just a heaping pile of filament just wasting away. And it was 27 hours into a 31-hour print. So
Yikes.
yeah, it was so close, so very close. But yeah, so I had to order a new part there. But yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just the dog sitting at the table drinking coffee while the house is on fire. It's fine. Funny you mentioned red shirt though, because I do have a follower goal on Twitch, and when I reach that follower goal on Twitch, I'm going to cosplay red shirt
I
Nice.
love that.
for a 12-hour stream, and it's gonna be amazing. I love Hunt Showdown so much.
Yeah, recently I just woke up and decided I'm gonna play red shirt and only red shirt from like now on. So
I
that's all
have
I've been
been
doing.
I have been playing as the Beast Hunter recently because no one's running Beast Hunter.
I said that same thing in a video, and people disagree about red shirt and beast
I
hunter being the best two. They are.
I never see anyone running Beast Hunter, so like I've made it a point to every time I pick up a legendary hunter to run Beast Hunter.
Yeah.
Because like I never see it. I always see like Night Acolytes and Bone Doctors and
Canes.
yeah, Canes.
Anybody
Oh
with a
god,
cloak,
the Canes.
basically.
Yeah. But I mean, and Carcass Gunrunner too. I like running Carcass Gunrunner because like not everyone runs them. It's
Yeah.
they're fine legendary hunters. Okay, I love them.
We're also joined by the spooky and the ukly Mendacii. Mendacii, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm learning all about the history of Hollywood from the eyes of the greatest actor that has ever been. We are just so blessed that he was born, Mr. Nicolas Cage. The book Age of Cage by Keith Phipps. Absolutely fantastic. And, the unbearable weight of immense talent. Wow, what a cinematic masterpiece about a masterpiece of a human being. I wish that I could transcend my current human form, this base form that I was born with, so that I could become so grossly incandescent as Nicolas Cage. But today is not that day, and instead I am a podcast host ready to talk about video game news and deals, and welcome our new friend HomeReel into Next to Nothing.
That's right. We are also joined by HomeReel. The folks here have already heard your voice. So go on ahead and use that voice to introduce yourself. Tell the folks who have not met you yet who you are, what you do, and where people can find you.
Hello, my name is Home, or that's what people call me anyway. I run the HomeReel YouTube channel. Um, it's mainly about Hunt Showdown, but hopefully this year it will expand into other games like maybe Blood Hunt. I don't know, but maybe.
Yeah, if I can blow a little smoke up your ass right now, um, the content you put out is fantastic, especially if people want more Hunt Showdown content. I really enjoyed your Hell Let Loose video.
Thanks.
I've seen a lot of people cover it, and I think you're one of the better people who covered it. Uh, if you guys like dry delivery in kind of like a drier wit, HomeReel is the guy for you.
Yeah,
Very
too
like
much British TV growing up.
Yeah. And there's just not enough Hunt Showdown content as there is. So
Yeah.
like to get quality Hunt Showdown content is a very rare diamond in the rough at this point in time because yeah, as I said, not a lot of people are covering Hunt Showdown, and it's such an underappreciated game.
yeah.
So
So if you
love home
guys
reels.
yeah, if you guys like Showdown, if you guys love straight men, playing it, uh not like straight as in orientation, but like you know, playing humor straight. There we go. The dry wit.
Never brought my sexuality into a video, but
No, I'm sorry.
maybe I
That's
need to.
that I wasn't intending it for it. That was just
No,
me
you're
being
good.
awkward.
Danny
Wish
Danny
you weren't so
K
fucking awkward, bud.
Danny K will be making an apology video tonight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
I'm about to
crying.
do a cancel video.
I'm
On
gonna.
your Gucci couch.
I was
Yeah.
to say I'm gonna be crying on the floor of my kitchen in front of the refrigerator, just wailing. I didn't mean to hurt anybody. um.
Do it on live stream. People
Anyway.
will forgive you.
Anyway, guys, thanks for watching and listening to the show. If you missed any part of the show, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are found. If you guys want to join us live, you can find us on Twitch every Tuesday at 7 p.m. The show this week is sponsored by Factor 75. Save $120 off your first week of meals by using my link. Learn more in the ad break of the show. Of course, guys, we have a question of the week this week brought to us by HomeReel. And that is, what podcast do you hold in high regard? And Home, I'm going to start with you.
So the podcast that I was thinking of when I asked this question, it's called Where Alive, A Story of Survival. Have y'all heard of this? Probably not.
I
It's
haven't,
pretty.
no.
Okay, so it's like a narrative podcast set in a zombie apocalypse. So like what you're hearing is happening in the world. It's not like people talking about zombies. And it's 48 chapters. And Where Alive is actually like the name of the series because now there's 4 other series of podcasts in the Where Alive universe. But they're just like so entertaining to listen to. It's like a high production value audiobook, but you're listening to a cast of characters and there's all sort of sound effects and audio design, like, if they're in a cavernous place, there's more echo in their voice. It's just, I mean, a real treat to listen to. And if you ever find yourself bored on your way to work or, at school, whatever, that is how I usually listen to it. So
Excellent. Mr. Green Elite, how about you?
Oh, I have I would have to say Brotakus is probably my favorite one to listen to right now. Just because if you haven't listened to Brotakus, it's an anime podcast with Pax. We've had Pax and I believe Kyle. It was Kyle on the show about a year ago.
Was it Henry? I thought it was Henry.
Was it Henry? Or
Yeah.
Kyle is one of the hosts, but he was on a long hiatus, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
Henry.
it was Henry that was on the show. But I gotta say, Pax has a voice of absolute velvet. and it makes me extremely jealous. And jealousy is not a good color on me, but still, he's, oh my god, amazing voice. They always have an amazing conversation about anime, regardless of like if the show was bad or good, what was the issues with it, the actual impact it has, and they're so funny, and they have a lot of guests on, and they've had a few like actually like big guests as well in the past few months. So I always give Brotaku some love because they're just it's a great show, especially if you like anime. And then I would have to say Into the Obscure, Rev's new podcast. Um, I've listened to a few of their episodes. I think they're on episode 2 now. And it's just really goofy and um, uh, always it's bringing like the very obscure, like random factoid things, like especially in like their area, onto the platform. And then they talk about movies that you've never heard of before, like was it? I believe it was Tina and the T Rex or something like that. It was like one of Paul Walker's first movies, and it was just like the way they described it sounds like insane, but to the point where like I actually kind of want to go watch it because it sounds so ridiculously fun. So those are the 2 podcasts right now that are awesome.
Mendacii.
Hey, like home, I also really enjoy a good spooky narrative story. White Vault is really good for that. Otherwise, someone that we actually had on the podcast not too long ago, Cuppy Cup, who is the keeper of arcane lore for a Call of Cthulhu podcast, Ain't Slayed Nobody, is absolutely awesome. Another really great narrative story one is The Old Gods of Appalachia, which is mind blowing, and they're into their 3rd season, and their tabletop RPG is coming out next year. Their Kickstarter's still up, and I'm getting everything for that. For video game news, I always go to Castle Super Beast every week. Nice, like massive 4-hour episode between 2 guys who have been in the industry for a really long time, as well as longtime streamers and YouTube creators. And I've just been enjoying their stuff since I was like, I don't know, 20. Just really hilarious and very knowledgeable dudes. And then if you like horror stuff, horror books, graphic novels, movies, and stuff like that, Colors of the Dark is also super exceptional. There's probably 1 or 2 other ones that I missed last podcast on the left, but this is how I met my fiance. It's kind of cool if you like funny, dark crime stuff. But yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts.
My go-to usually in this conversation would be, last podcast on the left, but I feel like I give that answer too much, so I'm going to change it up a little bit. Darknet Diaries. First off, true crime doesn't need to be all blood and guts, okay? Right? We don't need it all to be just bullets, serial killers, and murder. Sometimes true crime can be about nerdy things like computer hacking and selling video game cheats, which was what the last episode of Darknet Diaries was about. So, and I think Jack Reciter does a great job interviewing and like researching his stuff, and then is someone who's not like super technical, or like adept at understanding the intricacies of servers. It's he does a great job explaining it for the layman. So yeah, Darknet Diaries. That's the answer I'm going with there.
That's a lot of recommendations. You should go listen to everything there. That's a lot of hours of not having to worry about anything else in your life.
Yeah,
Listen to every single podcast ever made ever in the next like few days, please.
Yeah,
and then come back and tell us that we're the best one.
We really need the confidence boost, guys. So go on ahead, come on, go listen, and like then compare, and then tell us that we're better.
Yeah,
please
leave
tell me I'm
5-star
pretty.
review.
Tell me I'm pretty, please.
that
I need the
too.
confidence.
But yeah, let's go on ahead. HomeReel, you have some time in a game that we've talked about before on the show, but I am very much interested in hearing what has changed about it in the last few months. So go on ahead and tell us about Blood Hunt.
So I actually didn't play Blood Hunt when it was in its early access phases. It's been out for a couple months in like alpha, beta, but those were all closed. But now it's free to play on PC and PlayStation, and it is a battle royale in its truest form. There's gas you have to escape from. You're trying to be the last team to survive. You loot weapons, you pick your drop point on the map. It has all those things, and if it was just that, it would be pretty boring. But the main selling point to me is this vampire underworld. It's called Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. I wish they would just call it Blood Hunt, but I understand why they didn't. Um, so the big selling point is the setting, and that setting influences things in the world. So there are different archetypes where you can choose what kind of vampire you want to be, and those class abilities change how you play. Like you can go invisible or send out recon bats, kind of like Bloodhound and Apex Legends. Uh, so it's a lot of fun, and the world of the battle royale is what keeps me coming back to it because I like the kind of superhero nature of jumping around Prague, and like if you're low on health, you can pull up to the nearest citizen and drain them of all their blood to heal. Uh, but it's just interesting, and it's fast paced, and I think it has potential more so than some other battle royales that I've seen come out recently. In a video that I did about it, I talked about Ubisoft's Hyperscape. I don't know if y'all played that, but this is this is the same intent, a fast-paced, movement-intensive battle royale game, but it seems to do things better, and I am eager to see where they go with it.
Yeah. By the way, the video that we're actually showing on the screen right now is yours. I figured I'd show off your video on it. Guys, link in the chat right now, and then also will be in the video description um, for anyone that is interested. Green, did you ever get your hands on Hyperscape?
Yes, we played it together, Danny.
I don't know. I never played it.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure we played it together. I
I'm
thought we did.
I'm 99.9% sure we didn't play it. We played the cycle
Because
together.
remember, no, I'm pretty sure you played Hyperscape because you were like fascinated that you turned into a ball
No,
at one point.
no, that was definitely not me.
I could have swore it was you, but yes, I played Hyperscape, and I've also played Blood Hunt.
So, how do you feel that it's a pretty apt comparison between the two?
You know, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I literally just said this the other day.
Mhm.
I was watching Rexnor on Twitch, super early in the morning because he's from Norway. And I'm like, I swear to God, this is Vampire Hyperscape. It's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
not necessarily a bad thing because Hyperscape wasn't great. Was not a huge fan, but I played Blood Hunt, and I actually definitely enjoy it more than Hyperscape. That's for sure.
Oh, so I guess here's a question for you guys then. Right? So what does Blood Hunt and Hyperscape do the same, and what does Blood Hunt make it what makes it better than Hyperscape?
So for me, like I talked about the movement intensive stuff, and yeah, thinking of Hyperscape, one of my early memories of that game is turning into a ball and like bouncing around this techno city or whatever. Hyperscape was just kind of cheesy, and I had no idea who it was for. Blood Hunt feels like it was made for someone that, like, I don't know, that this world might appeal to if you're interested, obviously, in the Vampire the Masquerade universe. Maybe this will appeal to you, but it's not quite the same RPG that those other games are. But it has a vision in the same way that Hunt Showdown does to me. It's like if you like this art style, if you like the direction the game is going, then you should check out this game.
Yeah. And what about the aesthetic pulls you in? I'm just kind of curious.
I talked about this in the video too. My girlfriend has been watching True Blood like behind me while I play Hunt Showdown. So I feel like
Mm.
there's just vampires like talking in my ear most of the time. And so when this game came out, if I turned to her and I was like, "Ah, babe, there's a new battle royale coming out," she'd be like, "Yeah, okay, cool, go fuck yourself." But this time I was like, "There's a vampire battle royale, so we're gonna play it," and she actually did have a good time. So
Interesting. See, I wonder if I could convince my girlfriend to play this with me because she is such a Twilight fan.
yes, exactly.
um so in terms of the gameplay, you're kind of talking about the archetypes and stuff. How are you feeling about the balance right now? I've seen one or two people kind of talking about the balance on Twitter, and I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are on that.
So it has BR problems.
Hmm.
If you played Warzone during the pandemic, like the whole world did, you'll know that once one thing becomes meta, everyone plays that meta, and that's all you run into. And so right now, to me, that meta is melee. It is so strong, and if someone is within 5 meters of you, you're dead. If they know what they're doing and they have the right melee weapons, you're dead. So currently, I think there needs to be a balance pass because right now, melee weapons are super strong. They will kill you almost instantly. And while you're swinging melee weapons, you actually heal yourself. So not only are you harder to kill, you also kill super quickly. And another thing is not all the archetypes are as useful. Like, there's a couple, but like I prefer the Saboteur, but I would say the Saboteur is one of the weaker archetypes to use. So really it's just like the balance I think is going to take a couple updates, but it's not broken in that, every battle feels the same. It is interesting because you'll see different team compositions with the different archetypes, and you don't always get killed by melee, but if you start trying to play it competitively, I think that's what you're going to see.
Gotcha. So is the balancing issues? It's related mostly to the character types and not necessary in the character abilities and not necessarily like the weapons and like spawns and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's still, I mean, like other battle royale games, it's still kind of luck of the draw, at least early game. By the end, you might have better gear, but
Mm,
it just depends. Match to match, there's some variety, but melee and archetypes definitely need a balancing pass.
gotcha. Green, because I know you said you've played. How are you feeling about it?
I haven't played since it went to full release. I played it during the last beta, early access beta. I've seen a few people playing it. I know that there's like a few classes like that mainly people have been going to. Um, and I like the comparison to Hyperscape movement wise. I enjoyed how fast paced it was. Like you're jumping around, essentially climbing buildings and
Yeah.
maneuvering constantly during this ever enclosing zone. Um, and for a free to play game, to have like that fast paced kind of quick match capability is great. Um, yeah, there's definitely gonna need some balancing from what I've seen. And I'm hoping to actually play it now that it's in full release soon. Especially like I can do it off stream as well because it's very short. Like I think if a match lasts maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, they're quick,
So
which
very
which is why I like it. You can hop in and then, play a match and die and then hop out and you don't feel too
Yeah.
broken up about it. Whereas like Hunt Showdown, a timer on a match is 60 minutes. So I mean, it really can last an hour if it gets drawn out enough. So
Yeah, or like even Apex, like Apex and Warzone,
yeah,
where it felt a lot longer because Warzone they had the whole minute countdown before the match even started.
yeah.
So
And
I like that pace change. Yeah.
about like the way the gas moves those maps, there's not too many barriers in Blood Hunt where the terrain is impassable. You can usually climb over anything or use your ability to get where you need to. Whereas in Warzone or even back in PUBG, you hit the wrong mountain or you hit the wrong building and then you just kind of are stuck and you can't do anything and it just feels kind of unfair.
Yeah. Um, then what's the monetization looking like for it? It's a free to play game, so are they doing like a battle pass system? Are they doing skins? What's that looking like? And do you feel like it's a good and fair system?
Yeah, so they just released their battle pass, I believe on the 29th. It came out like 2 days after the game went live. And right now it is cosmetic only. I'm pretty sure it's gonna stay that way. Um, but I would say it's pretty fair. I mean, if you are into cool vampire skins, like the last two legendary skins on their battle pass are like kind of Blade Trinity inspired, like all blacked out, and uh, I would say it is the approach that most games are taking, where it's a cosmetic only type of battle pass.
Okay, so I have one question for you. And this is if I wanted to get my girlfriend to play this game with me, is there a Kristen Stewart skin?
There
Bella.
there isn't one that looks like her, but you can customize each archetype how you want to. So there is some room, and I feel like there will be more pop culture inspired type of skins later. Right now, you can't look like Kristen Stewart,
Mm.
That
Now,
unfortunately.
now you see, I want Robert Pattinson, but I don't want Robert Pattinson from Twilight. I want Robert Pattinson from the Batman.
Yes.
Okay, like I want him to be dressed up as the Batman.
Just this grunge emo type of look.
Vengeance. Like that's all the character says when he jumps around. Just vengeance.
Yeah.
um, anything else on Blood Hunt that we want to discuss or get off our chest?
I
It
think that
is.
it's pretty cool that it comes from like the publisher developer for Blood Hunt is literally the same people that came up with Vampire the Masquerade and that have made the Vampire the Masquerade games from like going all the way back to like video games wise to like 2000, but they've made a ton of other games based on their giant world like Hunter the Reckoning and the terrible Werewolf the Apocalypse game that came out in like 2020. But
Yeah.
yeah, dude. Like, so as far as Vampire the Masquerade games that are quote unquote canon to the White Wolf gaming universe, there's been 10 so far, right? And then there's supposed to be Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which is supposed to be a sequel to the what was it, 2004 original, which is probably like their highest regarded video game release, like that is a Vampire the Masquerade game. And that game sold like 88,000 copies when it initially released. That one's supposed to come up sometime, but like Blood Hunt is the second Vampire the Masquerade game that has released this year. The other one is Sins of the Sires. Like,
That, that's
there's a
why
lot of them.
that's why I wish they didn't include the Vampire the Masquerade kind of
Mm-hmm.
name, and at least, I mean, it can share the universe, but I would have just called it Blood Hunt because I don't think these games appeal to the same market.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
I would
like,
agree with that for sure.
the comments that I saw on that video some of them were saying like, I am excited for Vampire the Masquerade, the universe. I have no interest in a battle royale. So
Right.
I think I
I
would
was gonna
just drop
say
it.
I would like to see the Venn diagram of like people who are like super into say Blood Hunt that also back in 1991 picked up their first
Yeah,
edition Vampire the Masquerade and they're like, oh hell yeah, finally after so many years I get my
yeah.
hands on this.
Here's that story-driven experience that I really want.
Yep, I've been waiting 31 years.
Yeah.
Home, was there anything else you wanted to say about Blood Hunt?
I'd say it's worth trying. If you don't like it, you can just uninstall it. But it's free to play. It's fun. If you've played battle royales, you know what to expect. So
Yeah, it's very true. The only risk is the loss in bandwidth.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's the only thing you got. Um, Green Elite, tell us about the Sony.
Yes.
Tell us about the woes of Sony subscribers.
The woes.
The
Yes.
woes.
Yes. Sony confirmed it will no longer allow stacking of subscriptions for Sony PlayStation Plus. Example that would be like if you had paid for a year of PlayStation Network at PSN, and they were then say you were gifted like a PlayStation card, like a subscription card for Christmas, or someone for whatever reason gives you a PlayStation card. You won't be able to add that to your 12-month coverage. Like for example, you pay for a 12-month coverage. Someone gives you the card, and then you plug it in. It won't add that extra time to that coverage. Which we had just discussed last week. Sony and Nintendo just changed their renewal policy due to the inquiry in the UK. Another note is that um, they added another policy that if any game is set with a price of $34.99 or higher, Sony will require a 2-hour demo or of the game or a standalone demo. So if a game does not come with a demo, games will be able to be downloaded before purchase with a 2-hour demo period, and then shut down after that time expires. Which I last week when we talked about it, I had that exact issue where I had paid for a 12-month subscription, um, and then towards the Christmas time, I got a subscription card. I entered it in, so I added that time, but my renewal time hit during that period and it added more. So I think this is good in my opinion, but I mean, some other people might see an issue with it because they can't just buy a whole bunch of cheap subscription cards and just stack it repeatedly. So, Mendacii, I know you're kind of still a Sony person.
Yeah, I mean it's sitting
What do
right
you
here
got?
next to me. I got a statue of Taskmaster on top of it, but you know
Mine's
it's
got
there.
mine's on my shelf behind me.
It
PlayStation
does
4.
have it does have its power cord plugged in. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's kind of this is a smart business move because
Uh,
otherwise people are just gonna what's up?
Real quick, can you start
Hmm?
over again? Because it seemed like you cut out there for a second for me.
Oh no. Okay. But yeah, anyway, so PS4 is still plugged in, still exists, but yeah, this is a smart business move on Sony's behalf. Mainly because I mean, people could literally just buy years of Sony subscriptions and then just like get the higher tier Sony subscription for literally nothing. They just have it for 5 years without being billed. Um, so obviously you gotta put a stop somewhere. It does suck in general. It seems scummy, but what are you gonna do if you were going to try and give someone something on good faith and then they decided to try and stretch that good faith as far as it could, someone's gonna get snapped. Um, but yeah, it's kind of goofy. I had read that a lot of people were like, "Hey, why isn't this subscription card working?" And then they'd call and they'd get a really canned response from a rep like, "Oh yeah, it seems that there's like an issue right now. The system's down or like perhaps, like just kind of giving them the roundabout. So there's even, I mean, I was able to find like a forum on pushsquare.com that literally has like, hey man, this is how you convert your PS Plus prepaid vouchers. Like if you buy a 12-month card for PS Plus prepaid, that's 183 days of PS Plus premium conversion. So like you're literally able to just do the math at how inexpensive that would be. If you were able to say purchase, 12-month card for I think it's $60 and then get essentially half a year. So yeah, because I think that would end up coming out all right. Plus, you could always buy subscription cards for the cheap here and there. They were always on sale.
Gotcha. There was also another little bit of news associated to this that I don't think we've discussed yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Green, what's that other little bit of news connected to Sony?
Are you talking about the
The
demo?
demo,
leaks?
Yes.
because that we did discuss that
I
actually.
did.
Okay, my bad.
yes.
Running the show.
You just don't listen to me anymore, Danny.
He's the fastest podcaster in the West.
I'm the wittiest man and the fastest gun.
Yeah, so any game that is priced at $34.99 or higher has to have a 2-hour demo or a standalone demo.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, Sony will allow you to play 2 hours of that game before you actually purchase it.
Yeah, and the demos like that aren't just like, like that are submitted alongside the game. That like the company's like, hey, we don't want people to just be able to play our game for 2 hours. Like that's way too much. Our game's only 6 hours long, and you essentially would have to submit a demo to Sony in order to have that also on the store, and so that would actually get reviewed. Sony has straight up said like, "Hey, don't worry about doing a 2-hour demo. We'll do it for you." So like literally, they would put their game on the store, and then you would have the option to just trial the game and download the whole thing, and then you would have a system timer go off from 2 hours clocking down, and then after that 2 hours is up, you wouldn't be able to start it anymore without purchasing the full game.
Yeah.
Do you think that's aimed at Xbox, who has this? I mean, there's Game Pass, but Xbox also has game trials for early access games. Or do you think it's like a response from the Cyberpunk blowback? Like, how many refunds did they have to issue for this huge game? And
That's
maybe if
a
there's a,
stellar question, man. I was thinking about that like literally all day.
I just don't, I don't know that it is quite the same level as Xbox is operating at, so it feels like it has to be some sort of cost saving, or I don't know, maybe just to reduce the headache of issuing so many refunds when a game like Cyberpunk comes out.
Yeah, if it's for sure like some sort of preventative measure. And kind of to your comment there of like not at the same, like not on par with uh what Xbox is doing. That kind of seems to be their MO. They're always like a little bit behind in that regard.
Yeah.
Um which sucks for PlayStation customers when when these services and stuff are available but just better, but you want to stick with PlayStation for, whatever your preference is. Um yeah, I feel like
Yeah, I think you can, sorry, I was gonna say, I think you can still stack with Xbox too. So if you
yeah.
find subscription cards on the cheap, you can keep stacking those. And that applies to Game Pass and EA Play. If you use an EA Play subscription card, however you find it, that will be converted into Xbox Game Pass, which is
Hmm.
just like definitively a trade up because you
Yeah.
get, I mean, so many games for that card. So
Yeah. It
Take this moment to say, make sure that you purchase your subscription cards or your subscription vouchers legally, sir.
yeah.
Or people, please, like.
yeah.
We're not advocating for third-party trickeries. Like, what's that one? Is it
It's not.
F2P or something like that? I can't
Oh,
remember. The shiesty one.
the fell off a truck mart of the video game world where they were G2 G2A G2A.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cyberbrent, in the chat for posting G2G because you got me all the way there. Yeah, G2A, the shadiest of all third party sites. Yeah, don't buy them legitimately, buy them from verified sellers on Amazon. Don't buy them from someone who probably are selling them on the cheap because they
Have like
Stolen.
stole
or
a
they
credit
have like a
card.
key generator or something like that.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think G2A was a credit card scam. Like they were
Well,
they were getting the Steam codes from, or I think PlayStation codes as well, through sources that had used like stolen credit card information to acquire those codes.
yeah,
Blended.
basically G2A was allowing third parties to sell on their site, and then those third parties were using stolen credit cards to purchase keys. And devs were getting the charge back, and G2A had such a bad reputation that they're like, you know what, whoever proves that this is happening on our site, we're going to reimburse. And I think they even said we're going to reimburse with interest. And some indie devs took them up on it and said, okay, yeah, no, here's like all the information, have your auditors go through it. And the auditors found that like a bunch of keys for that indie dev had gone through G2A and were bought fraudulently. So
Wow.
so don't do that. Go, buy, like I said, from verified retailers. I will also say this is a better system than what Steam has, which is nice. Like Steam,
Yeah.
I've always felt like Steam's refund system has needed to be revamped for a while, and to at least allow for more demos. But yeah, this is a step in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, like think about not having to buy a game before trying it. It just seems like good practice. I do stipulate that there's probably going to be a lot of games hitting the market at $33.99, so if they don't have to follow through with that, or at least more in general. Uh, I think it's really awesome that every game, think about that, every game that's $34.99 and up. So that means every AAA game that's going to release at a $59.99 or $69.99 price tag will have a 2-hour demo for you to try. That is going to save so many people so many headaches and so much money. Think about how many times you're scrolling through Twitter or whatever, and people are like, I'm so pissed that I wasted my fucking money on this. Wow. Obviously your experience about trying a game for 2 hours is going to be vastly different depending on what version you end up getting. I should also add the 2-hour demo, you have to have it available for your game for at least the first year that it is available on the PS Store. Though after that, you don't necessarily need to have it. Um, so yeah, I had kind of forgotten about that like little tidbit there, but I guess it kind of makes sense. By a year after, there's plenty of people that like you can go and check gameplay on Twitch or YouTube, or see if someone's talked about the game and see like what they say is wrong with it and what's great about it, and see if it if it's actually a fit for you. But actually being able to get your hands on it for free, you can't really beat it.
Yeah. Anything else on this topic?
No,
Also,
sir.
I was gonna say that it might also be, I mean, obviously Sony doesn't have the same level of funds available to them to purchase new studios and require developers to release a demo. So maybe this is like their way of trying to give more value to PlayStation players. If they can't match Game Pass on this kind of like publishing level, they can at least add this new requirement that allows people to try games first on PlayStation.
Yeah, time will tell. We're supposed to see their, PlayStation, I guess, Game Pass, for lack of a better term, because we don't have a name for it yet, but we're supposed to see that this summer, I believe.
Yeah. If you guys don't mind, I think we can take a break and then come back. You guys
Heck
ready to take a
yeah.
break? All right.
Yeah.
Guys, don't forget this episode of Next to Nothing is sponsored by Factor 75. You can save $120 off your first week of meals by using my link. And you guys can learn more about Factor 75 right now during the ad break. We'll be right back. This episode of Next to Nothing is sponsored by Factor 75. Factor 75 is a meal prep service that understands that shopping and cooking takes a lot of time and attention. And if you're busy like I am, it feels more like a chore than a passion. Factor cuts out stressful meal planning and prepping, so meals come together in minutes, taking out all the guesswork of mealtime. They offer meals for a variety of diets, including low-calorie, keto, vegetarian, and vegan. It can even help you with your fitness goals with healthy and purposeful eating. Factor even offers flexible plans with plans as low as 4 meals per week and as many as 18 per week. And if you need to skip a week, you can. If you want to try Factor for yourself, use my link in the episode description or go to go.factor75.com and use Factor SE578 for $120 off your first order. Thanks for listening to the show. All right, and we're back. Thank you guys for letting us take that break. Sorry, Mendacii, you didn't get to read any more of your book there.
The Year of Cage was 1995, and what a beautiful that was.
A beautiful year. But yeah, let's go on ahead and talk about some App Store changes that are coming to the Apple App Store. So, apps on the Apple App Store that may be deemed as quote unquote outdated might get wiped from the storefront. Last week, Apple warned affected developers that they were in danger of getting their apps removed if they went without being updated for a significant amount of time. Quote, "You can keep this app available for new users to discover and download from the App Store by submitting an update for review in 30 days. If no update is submitted in 30 days, the app will be removed from sale." It does bear mentioning, though, that if an app is removed from the store, it will remain on your device. You just don't want to uninstall it at that point if you really love it. And you might be sitting there asking yourself, why would this be something worth mentioning on the show, let alone even worrying about? Well, as it turns out, a lot of devs are concerned that their games and businesses might be affected by an arbitrary update such as this, because they believe their games don't need to be updated as long as they work on the devices. Games can be complete states, is sort of the idea here. From at Protopop Games, quote, they said on Twitter, "I feel sick. Apple just sent me an email saying they're removing my free game Motivoda because it's more than 2 years old. It's part of their app improvement system. This is not cool. Console games from 2000 are still available for sale. This is an unfair barrier to indie devs." Another app called Flicktype. Flicktype. I'm sorry. It's an Apple Watch keyboard app. It's designed for the visually impaired. That was taken down because it hasn't been updated in 2 years. So an app that is made for as an accessibility tool for visually impaired folks has been taken down because it wasn't updated in 2 years, despite functioning properly. Other developers noted the changes as well. I think one of the most poignant points, say that 5 times fast, was made by @LaserWalker on Twitter. They said, "Apple is removing a few of my old games because they have not been updated in a significant amount of time. Games can exist as complete objects. These free projects aren't suitable for updates or live service model. They're finished artworks from years ago." And I think that's probably the best point that could be made about this particular situation. Some products are good as is. And if they are complete and whole, Apple needs to take that into consideration. Kind of getting on my little soapbox, my opinion part here, and then I'll kind of go around the table. That another thing that's worth mentioning here is that if apps have to push out updates in order to stay available, that also means you'll have to download the updates if and when they get pushed out, right? So if it's a minuscule update, that means you're going to have to download that, and it might be a minuscule, just a tiny portion of your data allowance, but that's still going to be impacted. You're still going to have to download this kilobyte download or 1 gig download, depending on whatever is going on. You're still going to have to download that. And if you're on mobile or cellular data, it still impacts your rates. That still impacts what you do. So unless you have your settings set to specifically only downloading updates while on Wi-Fi, I think it's just an arbitrary policy that doesn't really work for a particular portion of the App Store in the marketplace that needs to be taken into account by Apple. If a game is broken, if a game will not launch on modern iOS software or on modern iPhone hardware, then yes, it should be removed by Apple. If it hasn't met certain development goals or promises to its customers based on documentation and stuff that's already been provided, and say just is kind of just sitting there and not doing anything, then yes, it probably should be removed. But if a game is a complete piece of art that is just available to folks as is for free, then it shouldn't be removed. And Apple needs to make that accommodation. But I'm going to go around the table here, starting with HomeReel. Home, what do you think?
Has Apple said why they want to implement the new policy?
They've been trying to, for a while, to improve the Apple App Store, and kind of create higher standards for the products that are available on the App Store. I think for a while they were kind of getting this reputation of having just garbage upon garbage, and they wanted to clean up that reputation and also potentially make more money on developers by kind of forcing them to update and to continually pushing out new content and products onto the store.
So thinking of it as someone that also publishes, I wouldn't call it art, but something. If I had to go back to a 2-year-old video and like improve it somehow and then republish that video, not quite the same medium, but I can imagine how annoying that would be for developers. But it doesn't sound like there's any avenue for them to like appeal. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, and it doesn't. One thing I know people are saying is that it doesn't have to be like. I guess I also don't know the standards, but from what I'm understanding, is it doesn't have to be like a super huge update. It could be as simple as, adding, new color options to like the menu, or changed out a logo in the menu, or updated our contacts, like updated our contact credentials or credits or whatever. So it doesn't have to be super huge updates, but also there's only so many little updates you can do before you kind of just exhaust the improvements that you could do. So I don't know, like, what if I haven't seen anyone say there's been like like an appeal process, or how high or rigorous the standards are going to be. But
I wonder
also,
if this is the first step in like maybe a long game. Obviously the high profile case with Apple recently was like the Epic thing. And I imagine big cases like that cause some waves on the platform that they're affecting. So maybe this is like an attempt to keep developers actively on their apps, or every time you agree to publish your new app on whatever version of the App Store, you have to sign a new agreement or something. Like it feels like there's some sort of missing element in the story, and no one no one has seen what it is yet.
Yeah. No, I agree with that with that notion. It definitely feels like there is something missing here.
It just seems
Yeah.
like Apple's playing 4D chess, but no one really knows what the game is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I can't quite understand is um or I'm not really concerned, or I'm kind of concerned about is, are they going to do this as a means to force apps off the store that they have intended services for? Because they've already been known to do that, where if an app provides a service or adds a functionality to the phone that Apple wants to natively bake into iOS, they have been known to remove those apps in order to remove competition. And so I wonder if this is a way for them to justify removing certain apps that have functionality or add functionality to iOS devices in order for them to push their in-house developed services. And
Yeah, it seems like this is a new system for Apple to remove apps that they don't deem fitting for whatever vision they have for the platform. I
Mhm.
don't know why. I don't know why it needs an update, but
yeah,
I mean, maybe it's also a security thing. Like they don't want people having access to these, I don't know, dev tools that are no longer applicable, but I don't know. I just wish Apple would say, why is this necessary? And the fact that I haven't seen the statement maybe means it's not necessary. There's some other thing going on.
yeah. Um, kind of looking at our time here, I'm gonna get a statement from Green and then Mendacii, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I think it's unnecessary. I mean, how clean does your app store really need to be? Like I get like it being cluttered, but I mean, it's an app store, so like I don't feel like every app needs to be updated every week. You know?
Yeah. And I think it was like if it like went a year without an update kind of thing, but
Yeah. I mean, that's me just being me, but like
yeah, you're being
I just like
facetious.
yeah, facetious.
Facetious. Mendacii.
Yo, yeah, I've got two things that I think are kind of important. Like one on the plus side, this gets or could get rid of a lot of shovelware that would kind of help people like maybe not download something that would brick their device or allow backdoor access to their device. Like that's smart and everything like that. But to the credit of all the developers that finished a product and put it out, whether it's free or it does cost money or it has in-game purchases, something like that. That right there is kind of it makes you shake your head. Um, Part of me wonders if indeed there is a kind of trying to draw developers or I mean from indie to larger kind of companies like say like the people behind AFK Arena and stuff like that that have a ton of in-game purchases. Obviously Apple is getting like a little bit of those sales. So it's kind of pushing out a lot of these things that might be free indie games and trying to make it so like there's just maybe a different kind of flood, more of these other kinds of things brought in that are getting updated regularly so that it's like a cleaner store, blah, 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 with more avenues for to make money off of them. Either way, I see it as like a necessary thing. Again, like what Green said, I just don't see that it's absolutely necessary. It's not like your app store is a physical place with shelves, and you have to face it every time the customers come. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't know, like maybe it has to do with server space, but I can't imagine.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So I think that's that story. Mendacii, with a bit of time here in the clock, let's talk about
Mhm.
the Square Enix sell off.
Yeah, so Square Enix kind of like made a giant splash in video game news and for acquisition news. So they sold Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Montreal, as well as attached intellectual property, which were like Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Legacy of Kain. Um, technically, also Gex the Gecko. This was sold to Embracer Group for 300 million. Last year, Embracer Group bought Gearbox Studios, as well as recently they acquired Dark Horse Comics. They have THQ Nordic, Deep Silver, like that publisher's parent company, which is Koch Media. Obviously, Gearbox having Borderlands, like that sale alone was so much more money than what they bought all of this stuff for. This sale alone was only $300 million, which obviously is still way more money than anyone can even really conceive as a number. But to kind of add that in comparison, when Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, that was $68.7 billion. Um, People know the names Tomb Raider. People know about Deus Ex. I forgot to mention Thief, but then again, most people forgot about Thief. These are IPs that Square Enix did stuff with and then totally shit the bed. When Tomb Raider released in 2013, it kind of made a big splash, but it was also divisive. People were not entirely certain as far. I don't like the story. I don't like Lara, blah blah, but everyone's like it's very pretty and it's pretty fun. And Deus Ex had kind of the same exact thing. When Human Revolution popped out, they're like, this is amazing. This is a great addition to the Deus Ex saga, and Adam Jensen's a fantastic character. But then when they released the follow-up sequel, Mankind Divided, people were not at all divided about that game. It was a trash fire. It ate itself, folded in on itself constantly. It was ugly and it wasn't very fun, and the story was anything but enthralling. A lot of these kind of situations, and I should add, Thief was very much so in the same way. And keep in mind that Square Enix is also the same company that has recently brought us Babylon's Fall, which peaked on Steam with 1,166 active players at one time, and yesterday only had like 62 players online as a peak. So yet another just crash and burn. Outriders is out there. They out there riding. You had Guardians of the Galaxy. Marvel's Avengers is another game that a lot of these games are kind of handled by the Western divisions of Square, like Square Enix Montreal. And it has been noted that as these games have been developed and during their development cycle, Square Enix, like proper, has kind of meddled with the development a lot and saying, hey, you need to add this here. They've been trying very hard to get a games as a service thing going that is equivalent to 14 that can generate them a ton of revenue. They needed to do this because they spent, I think it was like $200 million or something like that on Babylon's Fall, and have consistently tried to pour tons of money into these previous games. I can't even imagine what the music licensing for Guardians of the Galaxy was. I imagine it was an absolute nightmare. But they have consistently been losing money on pretty much every project that they've put out the past 10 years. And for the past 20 years, they've kind of been making a lot of really terrible business decisions. You look at the meddling that the upper management put into, say, when Final Fantasy 14 initially dropped, and it was so bad that they had to tear everything down. We talked about that with Nate Bender on a previous episode before they actually brought a Realm, which is now like, I don't know, probably 60 or 70% of their total revenue. And it's with people like Yoshi P behind Final Fantasy 14, as well as Yoko Taro, who is behind, say, Nier Automata, which also made a giant splash. These people are headstrong and also kind of capable of telling Square Enix, like, hey, man, you don't tell me how to run my project, and I'll keep doing my project under your name. As far as these Western kind of divisions go, it's been like it needs to be flashy, it needs to be this, you need to make sure that your game includes this, so on and so forth. And it's been running people out like IO Studios that did Hitman. There was like some really solid Hitman coming out, a lot of trash, and then some super solid Hitman after they left Square Enix. The overall kind of consensus, the waters right now are iffy. Things are tentative at best, but a lot of people are like, hey, if someone else owns these studios and these IPs, we could potentially actually see something really cool come out of this, especially when you're talking about an old title like Legacy of Kain, which for those that are uninitiated is like a super awesome gothic masterpiece where you play as a jawless vampire with sick ass soul flame sword, and lives only on the PlayStation 2 and can't find where. They never did a re-release, remake, redo, anything like that. And it would be fantastic to see somebody else take up the reins on these projects. Selling all of this stuff for $300 million literally gives everyone the vibe, holy shit, they must be in deep and they need to get some money fast. There is also talk they want to for, which real quick is just checking out more AI development, doing more things with cloud services, as well as, of course, NFT chain, yada yada. So they're probably going to try and push more projects that are supposed to be more hip, more new, shiny for the crowd, while say these studios that have now moved over to Embracer Group might actually bring us some super solid games in the future. But obviously, we'll have to wait about between 2 and 5 years to see anything truly come.
Yeah. Anything, Green? Anything you wanted to mention?
No.
HomeReel.
Phoenix.
Squeenix.
Phoenix.
HomeReel. Anything for you?
I would love to see another Deus Ex game. So if this is what gives me another Deus Ex game, fine. I don't care who lost money on it, as long as it's not me. But that's about it. The other IPs, take them or leave them for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. None of these like really tickle my testicles at all. I haven't played Deus Ex or Thief or anything like that. So I just kind of, I'll be honest, I'm kind of blasé on it.
Right. Yeah. I would like to add. I didn't ask for this, but yeah. Deus Ex. Seeing more Deus Ex would be character. I need more of that. I followed the Tomb Raider series. I played through maybe like the first hour of the second Tomb Raider game and was like, this is the whole plot twist. And after having found out that I was right, I never picked it up. I picked up the third one for $20, Steel Book Edition, and it is still in its plastic wrap.
I didn't even know there was a third one.
Yeah, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and it did not go over well. There is a fourth Tomb Raider game being made in the Unreal 5 engine, which, guess what? That studio that's developing that and that entire team, Embracer Group's like, all right, yeah, you guys just, here's your new logo.
You skipped out a little bit again there. What'd you say?
God dang it. Basically that the new Tomb Raider game is being 5 engine. During their purchase, Embracer Group said, do not scrap this. You guys keep working on this project. Also, like, whatever you're doing, we'll take a look at it, but here's your new shiny logo, and have a good day. And that's about it. So Yeah, it's hopefully just going to be very good as far as where this can take these IPs. They won't die, that's for certain.
Does Embracer get the engine these games run on?
Yeah, most of the games that these basically just Unreal Engine games. So as long as they already have their licenses from Epic for their Unreal, then they're fine.
Okay. I mean, I know a bunch of those PC YouTube channels used to run the benchmark test from Tomb Raider. So, I mean,
Yeah, it's
if
very pretty.
yeah, so I mean, if these games are great for benchmarking, I'm sure they are graphically, pushing the envelope, but I don't know. I would love to see something exciting come from these IPs, and maybe this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Excellent. If there's nothing else in this topic, do you guys want to go on to deals of the month?
Yeah.
Deals of the month.
All right. So, with this being the first show of the month, we're of course going to run through all the games that you guys can pick up for free and some sales and stuff that you guys can currently take advantage of. Starting with Prime with Gaming, which of course, if you have Prime with Gaming, you also get a free Twitch sub. Go on ahead and use it on, my lovely co-host here, Mr. Green Elite, or Mendacii, or HomeReel. Are you on Twitch?
I have a Twitch, but I do not stream. So,
Well, if HomeReel ever streams, go on ahead and drop that free sub on him or any of our wonderful guests.
yeah.
So starting with Prime with Gaming, you can get Dead Space 2 on Origin until May 31st.
That's a good one.
It is a good one. That's still a pretty good deal. Curse of Monkey Island you can get. Shattered, Tale of the Forgotten King. Out of Line, things that Mendacii is all the time, out of line.
Yes.
Cat Quest and Mail Mole plus express deliveries. Those are all the things you can get with Prime with Gaming right now. If we move on over to Humble Bundle, which of course we are Humble Bundle affiliates. If you guys are interested in supporting the show, you guys can use our Humble Bundle links. Humble Choice this month has Ghost Runner, Destroy All Humans, Monster Sanctuary, Kill Squad, Rogue Heroes, Ruin of Tassos, Suzerain, Chicken Police, and Naruto to Boruto, Shinobi Striker. Gotta get the pronunciation right for the weebs.
God.
Any of those tickle your guys' fancies? Anything like there that you'd say is a good pickup?
Dead Space.
Yeah, probably Dead Space out of all of those.
Yeah.
Dead Space
Hey,
2
bayo!
Yeah, Dead Space 2 is like the best of the trilogy by far.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to live out my Naruto running fantasy, where I just run a very long and fast distance with my arms flailing in the wind.
And your sandals.
And my
Yeah.
sandals, yes. So definitely no, not really. Probably I would play Dead Space, but it's Dead Space. And I don't.
It's spooky.
It's spooky. I'm a little bitch.
And then the sales currently on Humble Bundle, you can get the Jurassic Bundle, which is Jurassic Park games. That ends on May 18th. The X Universe Collection, that sale ends tomorrow, and Visual Delight Bundle ends on May 6th. On Epic, free until the 5th, you can get Paradigm and Just Die Already. And then starting on the 5th and available through the 13th, you can get Terraforming Mars. Any of those tickle your guys' fancies?
No.
I don't know what any of those are.
Yeah. I think I saw somewhere I make a joke about it that it's like free like at least once a month. I think I saw somewhere like Ukulele. That might be on Xbox or PlayStation. But speaking of PlayStation, Mendacii, what's going on over there?
A lot of weird stuff. So I'm going to start off with the free games that you can get if you have PlayStation Plus. If you have a PS5, you get FIFA 22, yay, and a foot pack, which I'm not sure what's in that. Probably just more balls or something. I don't know. The Tribes of Midgard, was that?
Said feet.
Feet pack. Tribes of Midgard for PS4 and PS5, which that looks fun, but you could also just play Valheim. And then Curse of the Dead Gods. So isn't that fun? They obviously always have their PS Plus exclusive discounts, which has extended over to a 10% discount to Trek to Yomi, which we talked a little bit about when we covered that kind of like Sony exclusive yada yada earlier in the year. Otherwise, as far as good games for deals on PlayStation right now, I gotta tell you, it is a lot of weeaboo bullshit on the PlayStation Store right now. Jank Naruto games, jank My Hero game, every Dynasty Warriors game that's come out last 50 years. We got things like Senran Kagura and One Piece games, but what's actually worth your time, what's truly worth your time, is literally every Yakuza game that has come out, including the Judgment and Lost Judgment games, are on sale like between 50 and 75% off. You could start hanging out with my boy Kiryu for $12.49, and that gets you 3 games, the first, second, and third. Otherwise, my other co-host from Podcast for Two People, podcast about movies, is a huge flight sim fan, so I gotta make mention Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown, is 85% off. That is an $85 game at the deluxe edition for $12.74. Like, that's some super solid stuff. They've got some games on their which are worth your time to look at. Seafood just got an update, and they just released their roadmap for the rest of the year. That game's only $39.99 at a discount, but there's a ton of free stuff coming for it this year, and I would highly recommend checking that out.
Excellent. Green Elite, what's coming up to Microsoft?
Yeah, Xbox Game Pass is getting a few games. Out today is Loot River. On May 5th, you get Citizen Sleeper and Trek to Yomi. May 10th, you'll get Danganronpa 2.
Danganronpa 2.
Good pronunciation.
I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, Danganronpa. It's about
it's
evil teddy
the-
bears.
It's the Goodbye Despair Anniversary Edition. Euden Chronicle Rising and This War of Mine Final Cut. That's all May 10th. On May 12th, we get NHL 22. On the 24th, you get Floppy Nights and Hard Space Shipbreaker. May 26th is Sniper Elite 5. And the last one is on May 27th is Pac-Man Museum.
Okay. None of those really do much for me. Any of those do anything for you guys?
Nah.
No, but tomorrow is May 4th. May the 4th be with you. So make sure that you keep an eye out on Humble Bundle and Steam for a whole bunch of different discounts for Star Wars games.
Yes.
I think right now Jedi Fallen Order is on sale for like 75% off on Steam right now. It's like $10.
Yeah.
Get that game. It's so fun.
HomeReel, anything that you want to like promote or like say, tell people about like sales or whatever coming up?
Sales wise, Hunt Showdown should be having update 1.8.1 going live either this week or next week. And usually when that happens, the game goes on sale and they release some sort of bundle of different DLC with the base game for like half off or something. So if you are looking to get into Hunt Showdown or get some DLC related to this update, then I would keep your eyes on Steam for that.
Excellent. I think that's gonna wrap up the show this week.
But wait,
Oh.
Monster Hunter Rise is actually on sale on Nintendo Switch for 50% off. Go get that shit and play with me on Saturdays. It's only $30. Get it. It's the one really cool thing that's on super sale on the Nintendo. There's a whole Capcom sale And also, I'd like to note that every Square Enix game that they've made in the last 20 years, for some reason, is on sale on both the Nintendo and the PlayStation. Coincidence?
Hmm. It's because they've lost a lot of money. They really
Yes.
need to
Yes, it
do a
is.
cash infusion. Okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Let's HomeReel. For those who might have missed the top of the show, who are you? What do you do? Where can people find you? And like, what's like the next big thing coming out of you?
So I am home, as has been established, and I run the HomeReel YouTube channel. It mainly focuses on Hunt Showdown, but there will be other games this year. We already talked about Hell Let Loose and Blood Hunt, but there's more on the roster. I got another video guide coming coming soon. So those are the big ones. That's it.
Excellent. And guys, you can find HomeReel's channel in the live chat right now or in the episode script description. Go ahead and subscribe to him. Seriously, fantastic guy, HomeReel. Thank you for coming on the show. It's been a blast having you on here, and we appreciate you coming on with us.
Yeah, thanks. It's been fun.
Green Elite, what's coming up with you?
I say it every week. Hunt Showdown. We've been playing a lot of Hunt Showdown. I'm gonna try to get Blood Hunt in. I've also been meaning to play God of War soon. But I don't know when that's gonna happen. And then we might return to It Takes Two tomorrow, but I'm not 100% sure on that either. I kind of just don't know anymore what life is. What is the schedule? I don't know.
Is there
Uh
a next to nothing Discord, or like are y'all all in the same Discord, or how's that work?
we have our individual Discords. A Discord for Next to Nothing may happen in the future. May not. I'm not sure.
Maybe it's
Nice.
not in
We
the
haven't figured.
cards.
Yeah, it's not there. I mean, we could convert like the MidiCon Discord
Yeah,
to. That's a conversation for another time.
yeah.
I also like to just slum it in Danie's Discord, because it's where the gross slimy memes drop every day. That's how I get my fix.
Mendacii, what's coming up on your channel?
What up, no? So last week I worked like 65 hours. That's like 25 hours of mandatory overtime. I have no idea what my work schedule will be this week, but as always, I try to make Thursday, Friday, and Saturday streaming schedule. So Thursday, I think I need some homie time. I'm gonna try and either do some Monster Hunter or some Vermintide 2 with Brent. And we always try to have our Twitch integration, so allowing chat to mess us up in Vermintide is always available. And we usually have at least one slot open for you to either come and kill stuff with us in Vermintide 2 or come and kill stuff with us in Monster Hunter. Friday's kind of tentative. There's a lot of games I want to check out. Might be checking out Weird West. And then Saturday is also a mixed bag, but typically late at night, we try to hop back into Monster Hunter Rise. And we do play on Switch, which again is on sale. It is only like $29.99, or you can grab the deluxe edition for $34.99. Some of that sick fashion drip for your hunter, and then join us. And that is over at twitch.tv/Mendacii, MENDACII, and catch me on Twitter at onlymendacii.
Excellent. Coming up on my channel, I believe I'm returning back to the Weekend Warrior schedule for this weekend. Saturday, Sunday, maybe Friday night. Depends. I've had kind of a weird last week or so, and work has been very busy. But yeah, so Saturday, Sunday during the day. Saturday will probably be Hunt Showdown. Sunday will be a Raid Shadow Legends sponsored stream. So that's what I've got going on. And then you guys can follow me on Twitter and check out the new YouTube channel where I will be posting things like game demos and shorts and highlights of my streams. Check that out. That'll be that's Danie K highlights and shorts, or highlights and streams. So that'll be there. Otherwise, I think that's gonna wrap it up, guys. Thanks for watching and listening. Your time with us is always appreciated. Of course, we're not just interested in your time and attention. We do want to hear your opinions. So anything that we talked about this week, let us know what you think in the comments down below. You can tweet at us. Green, what's the Twitter?
It's at next to nothing PC.
Yes, you can also hit us up on Facebook. Same thing. The question of the week this week is, what podcast do you hold in high regard? You can let us know the answer to that in the comments, like I said, or tweet at us. If you guys, I'm sorry, I lost my place. I'm stroking out here. If you missed any part of the show or want to take us on the go, you guys can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are found. If you want to catch us live, you can do that every Tuesday on Twitch at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, or Central Time, I should say. If you like what we do, drop a like and subscribe. Ring that bell. That really does help us out a ton. If you want to help support us even more, you can check out our sponsor, Factor 75. Get $120 off your first order by using my link, Factor SE578 at checkout. And if you really want to take your support to the next level, it really isn't about the money. It's about telling your friends. It's like the best and the freest way to help us out. Other than that, guys, until next week, stay safe, stay healthy, keep fighting those good fights, and we'll talk to you guys again next week. Bye!
Bubba.
Bye,
I
everyone.
love you.